Horrible. I'm so disappointed in both players. Oh my god. This is as bad as it gets.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to welcome you back to another video on Gotham 2, my second YouTube channel. Technically my fifth YouTube channel, but whatever. We're going to keep saying it's the second channel until it actually becomes the reality that it's the second channel. In today's video, I will be sharing with you a game that I played yesterday, May 9th, 2023, in the Title Tuesday chess tournament. Now, Title Tuesday is a terrifying chess tournament for a variety of reasons. Number one, you might play Magnus, you might play Hikaru, you might play another top 10 player in the world, basically at any given moment. Number two, you might play a completely random individual who lives on the other side of the planet, like I did in this game, who is just as good as you, if not better, and you've never heard of them. That's also terrifying. And third reason why Title Tuesday is terrifying is if Hikaru finishes his game before you're done, if he takes care of business and you're still playing, his chat is going to go, hey, can you watch Levy's game? And that, let me tell you right now, that is a scary prospect because Hikaru's not like, you know, your parent, right? If your parent watches you compete and you're garbage, they're still going to love you unconditionally. They're going to tell you you're the best, blah, blah, blah. Hikaru keeps it real. He's like an older brother. He's like an older cousin. And if you're trash, which in this game I absolutely was, I think it physically hurt him to watch this game. And I'm going to share it with you because this game was so bad. This was not a good game by any stretch of the imagination. By me, I mean, I played horribly. And I think I brought down my opponent's level too. I was paired in the second round against the WCM. I think this person's like 16 or 17 from Vietnam. Clearly underrated. This person is a very good chess player. And this person had me on the ropes for about 90% of this game. And I knew I was in trouble early because they played the fantasy. And the fantasy Caro-Kann, it's really just a pain. Like, if you told me for the rest of my life I would face the fantasy variation and only the fantasy, I might never play the Caro-Kann again. I really might not. I mean, it's very nice that not everybody plays F3. Of course, I would just learn the lines fully, but yeah, I mean, it's a pain. I decided to play E5, which is a gambit line where you put your bishop and your queen on this diagonal. And, you know, against somebody of this strength, you know, she's going to know what to do. But against most lower rated players, they might blunder something very funny. They might see, oh, my knight is hanging. They might move it here, and all of a sudden they lose like this, which would be nice. But my opponent played the best move, which is knight to a4. And now I gave a check. And now the king has to come here, because if the king comes here, you block your bishop, you get mated. And now I played this move, queen d4. And somehow engines have proven that despite black being a pawn down in this line, black is fine. Now, if pawn takes pawn, you play bishop takes, and then if pawn takes pawn, you get a lot of development. And as you can see, actually, white is a pawn up, but black is equalized. Close. Because black just gets a lot of very fast development, knight f6, long castle, and the open fire. It's just a nice position for black. Here, my opponent spent some time, as you can see, 27 seconds, and did not play the best move. The line here goes f4, giving up this pawn, bishop e3, trying to trade. And there's actually a very funny line where this king can end up on e4. Like, black can play f6, white can play king e4, and believe it or not, white is just better. This is really stupid, but that's why after king e4, I think like knight d7 is a move. There's some goofy lines in here. But yeah, f4 is the best move, for sure. But she played c3, and so I played here, she did this, I took back. I was even thinking to play knight f6 gambit style, but I did not see a reason why. And then I developed my knight to f6, which the computer already deems an inaccuracy. Like, how can the move knight f6 be wrong? Well, apparently it is. Apparently I need to you know, put this on the back burner and play like b6 and bishop d7 and basically target my opponent's awkward piece coordination. But I was playing lazy chess. I mean, I played knight f6 and castle, which you tell all beginners to do, but now I'm worse. I am worse in this position because we're in a queenless middle game. And because of that, my opponent's king safety is really not that bad. I mean, normally a king there is bad, but I don't have a queen, and I can't go here. And I have an isolated pawn, which is a pawn that has no neighbors. And if my opponent is able to trade a few of my pieces, like bishop for knight or bishop for bishop, this is just gonna have long-term pressure on this pawn. So I tried to spend this game by creating some threats, but I was just unable. I mean, my opponent did a great job. She consolidated in the center. She played knight d4. I mean, I was really looking to imbalance the position. My opponent was just not having any of it. And here I thought that this was just a completely bad exchange. I thought, okay, you're damaging my structure, but why would you just voluntarily give up the bishop? Nope. Turns out it's also fine. I mean, I was just completely unconvinced by this, but I found it very difficult to make a move. And the computer thinks I'm fine, but I mean, I was really struggling here. I cannot move any pawns. This is like a bulletproof center. None of this can move, and I was very unhappy. And you know, I'm trying to win, right? You're trying to play and you're trying to win. H5. So I played H5 to instigate. My opponent started attacking me with the horses, and around this point, I thought I'm probably going to lose this game. I'm going to lose this game not because I'm not confident in my ability. I don't have any play. I'm being completely outplayed from start to finish. There's just nothing I can do. I mean, like I said, I tried to instigate with my H pawn, but look at these. I mean, look at the position. And I play bishop d6, and I thought I had knight a7, and I thought I had rook a8. That just doesn't work. It just doesn't work at all. My opponent played a4. I mean, I'm just being squeezed. It's a complete domination here by my opponent, right? I'm playing h4, doing what I can. Opponent plays rook d2, then takes my bishop. I don't even have my bishop anymore. Rook d1, I jump in here with the knight. And here we have a potential repetition of moves, which my opponent actually declines and plays knight c7. And it probably would have even been better for her to play the move g4. But this is not yet the part where Hikaru joined. He joins a little bit later. Again, by the way, here g4 very strong, forcing me back. And white is much better here because white has a much better pawn structure. So white has no doubled pawns, no isolated pawns. White has a cluster of 3-3, which is fantastic. I still have this dumb isolated pawn. I have a very bad pawn structure. My bishop is not doing much of anything. And at some point, a pawn break or even just an expansion into my position is possible. I have a lot to suffer for, and bishop b5 threatens the coordination of my position quite a bit as well. So just a very bad situation all around. Just ain't going well. But my opponent rushes a little bit, and we get here, and I'm still much worse. The knight is just absolutely dominating my bishop, and but look at the time, right? So it's time for a time scramble. I play rook c7. I play rook c5, and now I'm like, okay, I'm taking over. There it is. I am taking over the game. I've created this barrier, and now I'm like, I'm gonna win because we both have 16 seconds. What's my bullet? I don't know what my bullet rating is. It's like 2,800. My opponent plays c4, and I'm like, I gotta be winning. I gotta have something. Look at this. I'm getting my b pawn. My b pawn's going. Nope, just nothing there. I try to get in. King goes to b5. There's nothing there. And now my opponent gives me, look, I have 3 seconds on the clock, by the way. My opponent grants me one wish here and plays the move knight d5. Knight d5. My opponent played one mistake in 51 moves. I mean, it's very tough to beat people who only make one mistake in 51 moves, but there it is. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna win. And I think Hikaru must have joined at some point here because what you're about to witness is sick. This is a completely winning position because I have enough time to hunt down these pawns while preventing the a pawn from moving forward. I have a bishop, okay? My opponent does not. So I bring the bishop back, and what you should do here is just bring the king forward and win the pawns. Now, I panic, okay? I panic. I have no time on the clock. So I play f5, which is fine, but now a5. Now the pawn is actually getting through a little bit, and it gets through quite a bit, in fact. It's 2 squares away from queening. Now I have to play bishop d5 and bishop e4, and I am still winning for sure, but I got no time on the clock. So I'm like, okay, easy peasy. My opponent cannot queen. I should just bring my king. And instead of that, I play here, and the advantage is gone. The advantage is completely gone. Rook a4, and now I cannot simultaneously prevent this and save my rook. Because my opponent's idea is to take my bishop. It's to take the bishop. Oh my. And all of a sudden, we're in a drawn endgame. All right? We both lose our pawns. This is a draw. Now, this is where Hikaru nearly had an aneurysm. This is a drawn rook and pawn endgame. How do you draw this endgame? There's a few ways to draw rook and pawn versus rook. Now, depending, if it's one of these, all right, if it's A, B, G, H, you can just go to the back rank and sit there. You can just go here, you can't lose. It's just the way the board works, all right? I'm making an endgames masterclass at some point in the future. Hopefully you check it out. If it's somewhere in the middle, you can defend via the Philidor method, the Philidor technique. The Philidor technique is when you prevent the pawn from crossing the 6th rank and then you give checks from the other side, all right? Or you can defend with short side defense versus long side defense. What do? I just try to push forward, all right? And Hikaru was watching this game. He was not happy, all right? Now, it's also important to remember, rook trade sometimes wins and sometimes it doesn't. This is just about the final moment when I could, for example, the Philidor technique, by the way, back checks are fine, something here is fine. Like, this is scary, this is the move that loses for my opponent, because here my opponent has to play rook b8. The reason my opponent has to play rook b8 is because this is short side defense. You play king f1, king g3, rook f8, and in this position, you have to run the king out here. So this is short side defense. It's a theoretically drawn endgame, and you have to go to the short side. And if my rook was not on the 3rd rank, like for example, like I'd just something like this. This is Philidor defense. So if the pawn crosses, now you go here. But since I controlled the 3rd rank, all right, it was not easy for my opponent to do that, and I was able to win this game and also here I missed the fact that I can just promote the pawn, which is mildly embarrassing. But it took me 100 moves, and it was a massive time scramble, and it was almost made. I almost got mated, but luckily I had this, and I was able to save it. And yeah, it's a lot of pressure to play in Title Tuesday, especially when Hikaru's watching. Listen, with no time on the clock, these endgames are not trivial. Of course, you do have to know your theoretical endgames, and I knew that Philidor defense was possible. I knew that there was short side defense. My opponent could have ran to defend the pawn from the short side. Short side, of course, meaning there's only 2 ranks here, and there's 5 this way, so this is the short side. But we nearly made Hikaru faint, and I suppose that is an accomplishment in and of itself. It's stressful stuff playing with these guys watching, and I have the ability to laugh at myself because I'm constantly making fun of your games. So it's a different experience when one of the best grandmasters in the world if physically recoils at watching me play an endgame or being unable to win a game just up a full bishop. But credit to my opponent. She was great. She was very strong. I think she has good prospects for her chess career. Not just because she had a good game against me. That's not, I'm garbage. But I think she will gain a lot of points in the future as well. So, fun games. Thanks for watching. And I look forward to causing Hikaru his next near heart attack while watching my games in Title Tuesday. Bye.